Coach, you start 2-0, man. It was a good offensive day for you guys. I mean, both eclipsing 200 yards on the ground and through the air. Kind of just walk us through the weekend there.
It was a good weekend. I mean, to go on the road, to go to a place like Adams State, where it's a small town, so there's not a lot of. It's hard to get what we're accustomed to, hotel and places to eat, things like that. So we live by the motto: you control what you can control. So it's a little choppy in the weekend, travel-wise. I don't think our guys were as focused as they should have been. We had a little issue Saturday morning on our walkthrough, and I think they got to understand that when we go on the road, there's a business to attend to. So we had to get their attention a little bit. I still think they were a little, I'd say aloof when the game started. It took a while to get used to what they were doing. Everything we'd practiced, we'd kind of forgotten and just weren't as focused as we should have been. So we woke up, both offensively and defensively, and then started rolling. I thought special teams wise, Gage Rice had a heck of a kick, 47-yarder into the wind, but his kickoffs weren't where they're supposed to be. So he's got to work on his steps to get those right. And I thought Ali Yarp punted really well. He had like a 55, 56-yarder into the wind. I don't know if the wind was blowing quite as bad at that time as it was, but I know it wasn't blowing with him when he kicked it. So I was proud to see him and the way he came out in the second game. So we'll take the win, and we'll work on our mistakes we did this morning and try to get them fixed and get ready to go and start the Lone Star Conference season.
Yeah, you mentioned the conference play starts this week with Kingsville coming in. They're 2-0 as well. What have you seen on tape about Kingsville?
They're a lot better than they were last year. I think their offensive line is playing a little more physical than what they were doing last year. I think the quarterback is I'm not going to pronounce his last name because I'll screw it up. Jacob is his first. And I think he's done a really good job leading that team. They've been able to play a lot of people, so they've got some guys that hadn't been there, some in-game experience now. They've also their tight ends. Run a lot of 2 tight end sets, which has given us some fits. So they're more physical than they were in the past. So that's a different type of offense than we've seen from them. So they're very athletic on the defense side of the ball, and they're going to try to get after us. They got a lot of confidence right now coming off 2 wins, and I think Coach Salinas done a really good job of getting a good group of guys in there and getting them focused on what they want to do. And I think anytime you play in conference, it's going to be a challenge. So I'm glad they're traveling up here instead of us traveling down there.
Coach, I mean, you talk about leadership. I mean, Nick Gerber, a great one. He's got some great weapons this year. Isaiah Smallwood has been contributing a lot, and on top of that, he's got Noah Bogartis kind of stepping up. What's it been like to see those guys step up and contribute the way they have been?
Well, Noah, I'll start with him. He's a special player. I mean, he's a guy that he is the penultimate football player where he just doesn't care where he plays. He'd go out on special teams, on the punt teams, on punt return. He just loves the game and loves to compete. You can tell he gets pushed out of bounds on a play and comes back in and still goes and makes a play and catches the ball and gets us down the field. And about 3 plays later, he's dead to rights. One little bubble pass that Nick screwed up. Didn't call. He got blocked. He called it different. Checked off to a different to slant the bubble. And Noah's one-on-one with the guy, and he kind of puts his head down, runs him over, and scores a touchdown. That's Noah. And he's a great lead by example type guy. He's not going to be a rah-rah. He's not going to be out there getting his arms up or anything. He's just going to line up and go to work every day. So, then you got Nick. You talk about a leader as a quarterback. He just makes plays. And again, he leads by example. He'll get in the guy's face, but it's not out there in front of people. So he's not going to be the guy that'll lead us out and throw a towel or anything like that. But I think we got some unsung leaders, especially on offense with Zane Madison as a center. Zane's nicked up a little bit, but he's still going out and playing. And I think to me, that's a true sign of leadership when you're willing to go out there and play hurt and not let it bother you. Isaiah's done a good job. I still need more out of him on special teams. We still have made some mistakes in our pass protection from all the running backs. I will say I was a little disappointed in Jared. I don't know, it was bothering him a little bit, but I didn't see the same Jared that I've seen in the past. He needs to be more of a downhill runner, and I think he will be. I don't know. We got to get that reiterated back to him. Isaiah ran well, and then we saw Brian Okoye for the first time. I think he's got a chance to be a really special back. He's young. He's got some maturing to do in terms of being an all-around back. But I think you saw signs of what he can do, both when he caught a pass and made a big play, running the ball. So I think, when it comes to leadership on offense, there's some guys that all are different units look up to. But it all centers around basically Nick, Zane, and Noah, who they go to. So.
You mentioned also Shaq Brown got in on some of those touchdown runs. Are you planning on using him more along the goal line in the future, or was that just kind of throwing something at the wall and seeing what happens?
Well, I've been very outspoken in our staff meetings about how physical we need to be. And, I'm old school. I'm a defensive guy, and when I look up and it's 3rd and 1 and we're in the shotgun and we're 6 yards behind the center to get the ball, I kind of cringe every time it happens. I would rather put us in a power ride and maul over people. Our offenses now are different. They want to spread it out and try to get you, which I'm okay with, but there's a time where you got to be able to do that. And I think we got 3 tight ends, and Max, Shaq, and Jeremy that can do that. So you saw a little more 13 personnel with them getting in a bunch and trying to run behind them. And then, Coach Martin did a good job. He knows what I want, and he agrees. He's been in the same position I've been in as a head coach. You want that physicality. So they came up with a way to get a little more beef in there, get Shaq under center, run some quarterback sneaks, and they even had him at fullback and run him, on some dive plays. So that's not something we're going to get away from. We've struggled in the 3rd and short, and especially 4th downs. In the last couple of years, and I don't want to struggle anymore. As you can tell, I'm not an analytics guy. I'm a gut guy, and I felt like the other night we had 2 4th downs that we needed to go for. We weren't successful on them, but I'd still go for them again, with the situation. So it's always good when you can get those.
Coach, you talked last week about how impressed you were with the secondary. They were pretty impressed in this game as well, going up against really physical, large receivers. What have you seen from them throughout this far that's impressed you so far this season?
Well, I won't say a big surprise, but because we knew what he was capable of, but we're very excited about the way Sign Shuba played. He's got his first start, true freshman, and I think the 2nd or 3rd play of the game, they throw a little bubble out to his side, and he took off and went and hit the receiver 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. I think that set the tone. They kept trying to go after him and Ty. They did have some bigger physical receivers, and I thought Sign and Ty Dillon did a heck of a job on the corners, shutting them down. And they're going to catch some balls, but there were no yards after catch. That's the difference. They get him out there and try to get, Sign's probably maybe 5'8", 160 pounds, and Ty might be 5'9", 162 pounds. But they're trying to get after them. They make tackles and they played physical. So I think that gives you a little confidence. And when Sign hit that receiver for that loss right at first, it kind of sparked the team to see him going out there and doing it. And Sign's another guy that he wants to be on the field. He'll be on special teams. So he wants to be out there all the time. So I think our two safeties are continuing to play extremely well. I would say they're exceeding expectations to a point, but for me, I expect them to play that way all the time. So, I've been very happy. I think Coach Gibson's done a heck of a job with them. I told him that leaving the game the other night. I said, man, those guys are prepared. I like what you're doing with them. I just step back and leave them alone. I'm not going to mess with it. So, and then Coach Watkins helps them too back there. So a lot of credit goes to those two guys for getting those corners ready.
And then going back to leadership, you have on defense, you have Christopher Thomas. So to speak on his performance this past 2 games and how his leadership impacts the defensive side.
It's weird because when I talked to the head coach at Western, who I'm good friends with, he told me, he said, that 31's the best linebacker. And I was like, better than 45, better than Cavender? And he said, well, we knew Cavender was good. We just didn't expect Chris to be as good as he was. I thought that was a good compliment for Chris. Chris has always been kind of in the shadows, but he's always been where he's supposed to be, gets us lined up right, does everything he's supposed to do. I think he's a guy that, kind of like Noah, he's going to go up, he's going to show up, he's going to do his business, and then he's going to, not going to rah-rah or anything. One good thing about Chris is he's in our nursing program, and they try to tell him you can't play football and be in the nursing program, you can't be in athletics, be in the nursing program, there's too much. I think with the way we practice in the morning has helped Chris in that aspect. But Chris does clinicals for 10 to 12 hours a day, 2 days a week. Okay, so he misses a full day of practice because he's got to be there at 6 a.m. So I think it's just a credit to Chris that he can perform at that level as well, and he is on track to get his nursing degree as well. So I kind of like proving people wrong when they say you can't do this and can't do that. Chris is kind of like that. And, so I think if another coach that you play can come and compliment your players like that, I think that's something that needs to be told, and I let our players know that. So, but he brings that leadership. JT brings that leadership. I think those two safeties are starting to develop that leadership. And then up front, you got Dylan Mata. He's been here a long time. Xavier Rivera has been here since Moses walked the earth, I believe. It seems like. But he's really been he has matured and been a great leader for us, especially with things off the field that we might have to do with. So I told a group of people the other day, I said, this is a special team, I feel like. I think they got a solid core group of guys. And, now we just got to play.